What's going on, everyone? Welcome to my channel. Listen, I'm 63 years old, and I need to have a real conversation with you about something that hit me like a freight train recently. Time. Specifically, how much of it I have left, and what am I going to do with it? If you're over 50 years old, this is going to resonate hard. If you're younger, consider this your wake-up call. And if you're my age or older, let's figure this out together. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to look at your calendar differently, your relationships differently, and your priorities much differently. So I'm calling this Making Every Day Count at 63 because the clock is ticking, folks, and I refuse to waste another minute. Let me tell you what sparked this whole thing. 3 weeks ago, I'm scrolling through some social media stuff, a little Facebook, a little of YouTube, which I deal with mostly, and some Instagram. And I see that another guy from my military unit has passed away. Heart attack at 61. Gone. Just like that. That's the third guy in my unit in 2 years, the third. And I'm sitting here at 63 realizing statistically I've got maybe 15 to 20 good years left if I'm lucky, maybe less. It's likely that I might have less, but I might also be likely that I'll have more because my dad lived to be 77, but my mother lived to be 96. So I figure if I'm fortunate, I'm somewhere in the middle of that. Now I use this thing frequently called the death clock. It's deathclock.com, I believe. And death clock allows you to predict what they might consider to be statistically accurate data, how long you will live. And death clock says I'm going to live to be around 92. I do this from time to time just to kind of give myself a reality check. In all fairness, in all honesty, in all sincerity, I'm not sure if I want to live that long. I probably can be happy going out, in my 70s, honestly. I live day to day as best I can. But anyway, let me get back to the point. I've been fortunate. I've had a military career, I've had a civilian career, and I've made some pretty decently smart financial decisions. I've got VA benefits, great health care from TRICARE. I have property, and even a couple of boats. My wife and I have been married for 12 years. I'm in pretty decent shape. I can still run a couple of miles, lift weights, and I sleep soundly most nights. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. What am I doing with this gift of health and financial security at 63? Am I coasting or am I making every day count? Because that's the brutal truth nobody talks about. Success gives you options, but time gives you urgency. So I did something that scared the hell out of me. I audited my time. I tracked everything I did for 2 weeks straight. Every hour, every activity, every conversation. And you know what I found? I was wasting massive amounts of time on things that don't matter. Scrolling through social media for hours, watching the same news stories over and over, getting stressed out about politics I can't even control, sitting in my house with all of these possessions I've got accumulated, not really using all of them. I use some of them, but mostly I use the ones that relate to YouTube, to fishing, and to making music right now. I've got 4 vehicles, 4. And most days I drive one to work and back, and my wife drives the other. So unless we're going down to Corpus Christi or somewhere hunting or fishing, the truck basically is sitting still. And then we have this other Mazda Miata, which is sitting in the garage, just kind of cooling its wheels. I've got access to every streaming service known to man. I'm watching reruns of shows. Some of them I've seen many times if they're really good. Like yesterday, I was watching The Sinner, which I really enjoyed. But here's the math that shook me. If I have 20 years left, that's 7,300 days. Sounds like a lot, right? But subtract sleep, that's about 4,900 waking days. Subtract routine stuff like errands, appointments, basic maintenance of life, we're down to maybe 3,000 days where I can actually choose what to do with my time. 3,000 days. That's it. That's all the time I have left to create memories, to have some adventures, and to make a difference, to love as deeply as I can, and to learn new things. It's not a lot of time. Now I know some of you are thinking, this guy's having a midlife crisis, but I'm past midlife, folks. This is an end of life awakening, and there's a difference. A midlife crisis is about trying to recapture your youth. This isn't about that. This is about maximizing my remaining time with the wisdom I've gained and the resources that I've built. And the same for you. So I started asking myself different questions. Instead of, can I afford this? I'm asking, can I afford not to do this? Instead of, what will people think? I'm asking, will I regret not trying this? Last month, my wife mentioned she wanted to see the Northern Lights. In the old mindset, I would have said, yeah, we should go someday. But in my new mindset, I booked the trip for next March. Why wait? Someday isn't guaranteed. And every year we delay is 1 year less that we may be physically able to enjoy it. That is, I might walk out the house tomorrow or today and a car strike me or I have some type of medical emergency. Same thing with fishing. I've been chasing fish around the globe for a few years now, from salmon in Alaska to marlin in Costa Rica. Some people think that's excessive, but here's what they don't understand. Every trip is a story, every cast is a moment of possibility, and every sunrise on the water is a reminder that I'm alive and able to experience it. But it's not just about travel and adventures, it's about every relationship, every conversation, every opportunity for me to grow. So here is relationship reality check. What really hit home during my time audit was I spend energy on relationships that drain me instead of investing in relationships that fuel me. I've got colleagues I see more than my closest friends. I've got distant relatives who only call when they need something. But I always pick up because family is family. I've got social obligations that feel more like chores than connections. But I've also got friends who energize me, who challenge me, who make me laugh until my sides hurt. A wife who, after 12 years, still surprises me with her insights and her humor. People who see me as more than my job title or my bank account. They see me as a human being, as a friend, a person with dreams, a person with fears, and a few decent stories to tell. At 63, I don't have time for fake relationships. I tell my wife this all the time. I don't want to run around chasing people down who really don't want to invest the same amount of time chasing me down. I don't have energy for people who consistently bring negativity into my life. I really don't have a lot of patience for these surface level conversations when I can find some deep connections that really feed me. So don't call me talking about the weather. I can care less about the weather. I can't control it. You can't control it. Why waste our precious time talking about rain? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm making some changes. I started declining invitations that felt obligatory. I started to be more intentional about who I spend my time with. And you know what? Some people may think I'm being offensive or defensive or offensive to them in some way. They may find it offending. Some relationships in my life have ended, and some of them have remained and gotten stronger, deeper, and they feel more authentic. We're all going to lose some relationships in our life. It's just how it is. People come in, as they say, for a season. I don't really like that language, but I just know that at some point in my life, some people are going to peel off. For those people, I'm going to peel off. It's just a natural flow of the cycle of life. And I'm with that. But one thing I refuse to do at 63 is to stop learning. I see so many people our age or my age who decided they know everything they need to know, that they're too old to change, that technology is too complicated, or ideas are challenging too much. My friends, I'm not going out like that. I tell my friends now, if you're not using AI, for example, this new technology, you're kind of wasting time. I mean, you're really wasting and you're letting a valuable resource pass you by that can really enhance your life. And that to me is not living. You know, they say in Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying. I don't want to get busy dying, although I know I can't stop the process. So I've got to keep learning because learning is really about living. So I've learned new technologies. I've learned how to use a variety of platforms on the PC or and the Mac. That in itself, I think, is worth mentioning that I use Mac and PC. And I'm reading books that I never would have read before. I joined a book club last year, and some of the stuff that we have read, I certainly wouldn't have picked it out on my own. I'm taking online courses and I'm making these YouTube videos, which at first was pretty terrifying, but now it's a good way to connect with people. I just wish I could connect with more. So again, I ask you to subscribe to this channel if you've gotten this far in this video, because I want to hear your comments and your feedback. And I wouldn't mind, going offline from this video and talking to people one-on-one by Zoom and really making some deep inroads into who we are and we're sharing with each other. It doesn't have to be a one-way street. But here's something that's really crazy. In my 60s, in my 63rd year, I started songwriting. Yeah, you heard it right. I never wrote a song before until just about 8 months ago. And now I'm using some AI tools like Suno to create music. Is it Grammy worthy? I wish, but it's mine. And it's creative and it's helping me express myself in ways that I didn't know I was capable of. Now, some people are going to look at me and say, this guy, he's really stretching it. He's lost his mind. Why is he out there trying to write music? Here's what I've learned about learning at 63. It's different than when you were younger. When you were 25, you were learning to build a career, to prove yourself, to accumulate knowledge for future you. But now you're 63, I'm 63. I'm learning for the pure joy of discovering new stuff that I can do and for making connections and for the way that it lights up my brain. Honestly, making music is something that really allows me to get into flow. I don't know, I might make a good song. Hopefully, I'm going to get into a songwriters group or into some songwriters network that I can get my music out there commercially. I've been getting it out there on YouTube and Insta, and I've been getting it out there on SoundCloud. I haven't made any money yet, but I am engaged, and it makes my brain really go on fire. So that's one thing that I think is an alternative to mental stagnation. And that, to me, would be a death sentence for my brain and for my mind. Now, I want to talk about something that we all are grieving and stressing out and turning flips about, and that is politics. I am spending a lot of time thinking about politics. Let me tell you, this current administration has got people on both sides, left and right, up in a frenzy. I personally feel like the president is a disgrace. I'm just going to go out and say it like that. And I oppose much of what I see going on. Spending hours a day listening to NPR or CNN or any other media outlet listening and talking about politics, to me, is kind of a waste of time because I can't control what's going on in the White House. We voted and things went the other way than what I voted. So I realized it's stealing my time and my peace of mind. I can't change what the administration is doing by getting angry on social media. I can't fix the country by arguing with strangers online. And I certainly can't solve the systemic problems by consuming endless negative views. What I can do is vote, donate to causes that I believe in. And I can have thoughtful conversations with people in my actual life, people that I really care about and value their opinion. What I can do is model the values that I want to see in the world. And what I can do is focus my energy on the circles where I actually can have some influence. And that's what I do. I'm still a Unitarian Universalist minister. I'm preaching weekly, and I have a pulpit, and I have people there that influence me, that I influence. So there's some reciprocity going on. The rest of it is noise. And I don't have 3,000 days to waste on noise. That's the bottom line. So here's the next point. At 63, we don't have any kids in the house. We have this empty nest, as you call it. And that's something that many people don't talk about. I have to admit, the stuff that I do with my wife is only possible because we don't have kids in the house. And I know that many of my peers do. They're still paying for college or bringing up young people in high school, and it's a gift and a blessing for us. Some wonder though, am I really creating something that I can pass down to children and grandchildren? With no grandchildren, I can't do that. But I am trying to create things I can pass down in other ways. I'm not trying to create generational wealth at this point because my stepdaughter, my wife's daughter, is already set in her own right. So what will be my legacy? What mark do I want to leave on this world? I think it's the people that I touch and the conversations that I have and the example that I set. Maybe it's this YouTube channel and the connection that it creates. Maybe it's the songs that I'm writing, not because they'll be hits, but because they're honest expressions of what it means to live authentically and at this stage of my life. Maybe it's the mentoring that I do with my colleagues who are coming up behind me or with me, ensuring them that they too can reinvent themselves and that they can stay in the game. Starting new creative ventures in my 60s has taught me something profound. Legacy isn't just what you leave behind when you die, it's what you create while you're living. Every song I write, every video I make, every sermon I preach, every conversation I have, where I encourage someone to take that leap of faith that they've been afraid to take, that's a legacy in real time. But here's the key. I can't build that legacy passively. I can't create a meaningful impact by accident. I have to be intentional about it, and I'm starting now. Every interaction is an opportunity to lift up someone. When I go to the gym in the morning, when I'm at church, when I'm talking to somebody on the line, they're all opportunities to do something and to spark a conversation or an idea for others to stay busy living and to live fully rather than just coasting or existing. 20 years ago, I was coasting. I felt good about it. But now, if I had to say something to my younger colleagues and friends, it's that don't coast. If I had to say something to my 40-year-old self, I would say don't coast. Keep the pedal to the metal. What's my plan? How do we make the next years count? Or how do I make the next years count? First, I'm going to audit my time on a regular basis. If an activity doesn't align with my values, bring me joy, or move me toward my goal, I'm eliminating it or I'm going to delegate it to somebody else. Second, I'm saying yes to experiences and not so much to stuff. I've got a lot of possessions. I need to own that. And I do own that. And I need to probably downsize and stop accumulating. It's really about the memories and the adventures and the connections. That's what matters the most. Whether it's a fishing expedition, which I just came back from in Alaska, or something to a remote location, doing a songwriting session with myself and creating some more tunes on Suno, I'm choosing experiences that feed my soul over accumulating more stuff that I don't need. When I buy something, I need to get rid of something. Third, I'm investing in relationships that energize me and distance myself from those that drain me. Life is way too short for dealing with toxic people and fake friendships. Fourth, I'm staying curious and open to change, learning new things like AI, but also trying to keep my mind sharp and my perspective sharp. All right. So that means I'm digesting a lot of content, but I want to make sure I'm zooming in and focusing in on those things that give me a fresh perspective, not just reading for the sake of it because the New York Times gave it to me. And finally, I'm being intentional about my legacy. How do I want to be remembered? What impact do I want to have? What example do I want to set? Look, I don't know if I'm going to have 15 or 25 years left or 5 years left. None of us do. But I know I have today and I'm not wasting it. That's why I'm making this and sharing this with you. If you're watching this and you're my age, let's make an impact. Stop coasting. No more someday, no more wasted time on things that don't matter. And if you're younger, take notes. Don't wait until you're 63 to realize that your time is your most precious resource. What are you going to do with your remaining days? Drop your thoughts in the comments, my friends. Let's inspire each other to make every day count. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more real talk about living intentionally, and I'll see you in the next one. Time is ticking, folks. Let's make it count. Peace.